So Matt Gaetz wants to oust Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. I say, you're right and good luck. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the GOP House rep from Florida, Matt Gaetz, saying that he wants to oust Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House because he caves too much, working with Democrats on certain things. Yet Matt Gaetz wants to work with Democrats to get Kevin McCarthy out of his speakership role. Now, I don't know how he's actually going to get this done. I have no idea. I mean, to me, if you ask me just straight away before we get to the video and whatnot of opinions about this, if you ask me, I think this is just Matt Gaetz just talking and making a name for himself. Maybe he has higher aspirations. I have no idea, but I don't really see a path forward. He was threatening to keep the government shut down, but that didn't happen. He was threatening to not allow McCarthy to become Speaker of the House a few months ago, but obviously he is Speaker of the House. So you're talking about backing down and working with Democrats. What are you doing, Mr. Matt Gaetz? I don't really understand. I don't really understand the logic. Now, before I go any further, let's go ahead and get into the actual news clip. If you want to see this clip in full without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
The dysfunction in Washington, even worse than what you're used to. We are less than 32 hours away from a likely shutdown.
And by the way, this is an older video from CNN, and I'm playing CNN for a particular reason. They have passed a government spending bill as of right now. They want to call it a so-called stopgap spending bill, but the government is not shut down. This is October the 1st, 2023. Government's not shut down. They did pass a bill. So all this bloviating and blustering from Matt Gaetz was all for naught, apparently.
Of the U.S. federal government and the hole Speaker Kevin McCarthy dug for himself seems to only be getting deeper. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is now reaching out to House Democrats, including Progressive Caucus Chairwoman, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, to help him oust McCarthy as Speaker. Politico is reporting that Jayapal is telling Gaetz, quote, "We're not planning to save McCarthy."
I mean, again, how are you even going to get this done? What are they really going to do? What are you going to do? So, like, I just don't understand the purpose. And then you think they're going to, when I say they, I mean Democrats, you think they'll help you get another Republican in there? Because you guys have the majority in the House, at least for now.
Let's bring in our panel, Democratic strategist Nayyera Huck and Lonnie Chen, a fellow with the Hoover Institution. And Lonnie, Congressman Gaetz reaching out to Democrats to oust McCarthy. At the same time, Gaetz was threatening to oust McCarthy if McCarthy worked with Democrats to keep the government open.
Yeah, it's an unholy alliance now that's been created. The funny thing about this is going to be the shutdown over absolutely nothing, right? And Matt Gaetz is one of these nihilists who's basically decided he's going to shut it down because he feels like shutting it down. It's not like they're getting concessions. It's not like they're getting closer to policy aims. This is really just about the ambitions of a few people to do more so that more people recognize who they are. And now reaching out to Democrats, not even moderate.
You know what? And I think I agree with what he's saying. I agree because it's like, okay, if you're going to shut the government down or threaten to shut it down, why? What do you really want? What are your demands? What are you trying to actually accomplish aside from making yourself be more well-known? I don't really know because, again, we have a quote-unquote stopgap government spending bill, so the government's not shut down. So what did you get for all this back and forth, Mr. Matt Gaetz? What was the purpose in doing all this? I don't understand. And if anybody out there knows, because I don't know everything, maybe I'm missing something, but if you know, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to find out.
Democrats, but progressive Democrats, mind you, to oust the only person who probably could do this job right now. It's ludicrous.
And it's not just Lonnie saying this, Nayyera. As you know, Congressman Mike Rogers of, I believe, Alabama told Politico, quote, "There is something between them, and I don't know what it is. It's not policy-driven. It's personal," talking about Gaetz and Speaker McCarthy.
Now, you know, that's right. Because remember, let's go back a few months. I'm going to come right back to this in just 1 minute. But remember this right here. This was when, I'm going to turn the sound down for this because it's not necessary to have. But this was when McCarthy was confronting Matt Gaetz. And I think he's sitting right next to someone else, Lauren Burber. Remember, getting freaky in the theater. But anyway, not with Matt Gaetz, obviously, but this was a bunch of back and forth that resulted in nothing. They had a bunch of different votes. It was like 18 votes at this particular point. I think it was 14 votes. It was quite a few votes they had to go through to get McCarthy confirmed. It's a bunch of back and forth. He was wanting certain things, and ultimately, McCarthy became the Speaker of the House. So all this was really not for much. You may remember Matt Gaetz for this exchange, but the question is, what did Matt Gaetz accomplish as a result of the exchange? Okay, so now we're seeing the finger point and all kind of stuff like that. So there's some personal beef that they have, and it's not been resolved ever since then. He was not successful in stopping him from becoming Speaker of the House, and now he wants to get him out. I don't know what the beef is with McCarthy, but maybe we'll figure out in a little bit of time now. Let's keep on going with the CNN video.
We've had shutdowns in the past over the border wall. We've had shutdowns in the past about Obamacare. I'm not quite certain what this one is about, although it's certainly the animus between Gaetz and McCarthy is definitely playing a role.
It's going to be really challenging to explain to the American public why the government is shutting down. They are the party in power right now in Congress, and they cannot have a message about helping the American people at this time. 90% of Americans have savings. Those same people cannot cover $1,000 in emergencies. I had a nephew hit me up this week trying to figure out what was going on with the shutdown. He's a tech sergeant in the U.S. Air Force. He has 2 children. He said, Auntie, how long is it going to go for? I said, you should prepare for 2 weeks. Are you going to be okay? He goes, I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
And to be clear, now, the government, again, did not shut down. But if it did shut down, then federal employees, including her nephew, would not get paid until they can reach an agreement. So they'd be furloughed. They would get paid later. Now, some are going to say it's not really a big deal. They would get paid later. Well, your rent, your mortgage, and food and everything else, they're not trying to hear anything about you don't have the money. They're not trying to hear that. Either you have the money or you don't.
I had no answer for him other than it's football season. They're playing political football with your paycheck.
Yeah, and it's clear there are Republicans in the House getting frustrated with Matt Gaetz, although he's not there are a lot of authors of this shutdown, but take a listen to New York Congressman Mike Lawler.
There's only one person to blame for any potential government shutdown, and that's Matt Gaetz. He's not a conservative Republican, he's a charlatan. And as far as I'm concerned, when you're working with Democrats to try to vacate the speaker, you're a joke.
Do you think Gaetz is entirely to blame?
I don't know about entirely. He's certainly one of the prime instigators here. But there's a group. I mean, to think about the Freedom Caucus as a unified bloc, I think is a little misleading.
Gaetz is not in the Freedom Caucus.
There's been this blame that's been ascribed to this group of hard right legislators. The reality is you have a subset of this group. Matt Gaetz is probably one of the folks who certainly is in a leading role. But it takes more than just one person, in my view, to make what we've got right now. Matt Gaetz is a principal instigator in this.
But to be clear, he's not in the Freedom Caucus. But I understand what he's trying to say. But again, he's not in the Freedom Caucus. But Matt Gaetz, many may see him as like in a clique in Congress of kind of quote unquote far right Republicans. But I'm not really sure that these people are actually able to accomplish things. Maybe they want to, but have they is the question.
But the notion that he alone is responsible, I think, is probably a little bit generous to him.
And Nair, how do you think Democrats should play this? Just sit back and let them kill each other?
Listen, there's not much power that Democrats have in Congress right now other than standing up for the principles and ethics and values of the institution. So they're going to let the Republicans who wanted the speakership so badly manage this and figure this out on their own.
One of the things that's so weird about the shutdown is even this bill that failed, that McCarthy put forward, was not going to avert the shutdown. I mean, that's what's so strange about it, right? McCarthy had cut a deal with the Senate and the White House in, I think, May. And then he was getting pressure from his hard right caucus that he was agreeing to too much spending. And so he walked away from the deal that he himself agreed to.
Well, we could pause it right there, but you kind of get the idea of what's going on. They're talking about the government shutdown, although the government shutdown didn't happen. And your main man, Matt Gaetz, is trying to oust Kevin McCarthy. He was not successful in preventing him from becoming the speaker, so he's still on that mission. Didn't happen the first time, didn't happen this time. So at a certain point, it's like, how much are you going to try to do a thing and keep failing and keep going back to it over and over again? I don't really get it. But as I close, I want to say this. Matt Gaetz, I don't understand his goal here. If you're going to do things like this, there needs to be a clear and defined goal. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to do? What's your ultimate plan? Is there an ultimate plan, or is it about something personal between you and Kevin McCarthy? At this point, I can't really tell, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Why do you think Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz have this beef? Is it one-sided? Is it a mutual thing? They hate each other? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I don't really see the purpose in Matt Gaetz doing this. If he was able to say, he's talking about concessions, but I think a lot of what he's saying is just kind of generic. And the very things that he's saying that Kevin McCarthy is guilty of, he's done as well. Everybody makes concessions. Everybody caves to a certain extent, especially Matt Gaetz, because again, Matt Gaetz did not want McCarthy to be the speaker, but he is. Matt Gaetz did not want the government to go forward to get funded, but it is. So I'm just having a hard time figuring out his objective and his methods and if they are going to actually work, because I don't see any evidence of these things that he's trying to accomplish working. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.